Hello, everybody out there on YouTube. Welcome to The Shoulder Tap. I am Jack. I'm joined by risk manager Brett today. Mick is maybe on the boat back from Europe right now. It'll take him a little while longer. But Brett, what's up today? You were telling me in the green room that we got some big numbers on the board this morning.
We have some huge numbers from some of our users. One of them I actually planned on making or I do have a trading card for, and that's Raphael in the live funded account. Raphael is up $41,000 in their live funded account right now. And I just did some quick math. I actually checked. I was looking at Raphael's P&L at about 10:15 this morning, so just about 2 hours ago, and they were at about 16,000. And for the past 2 hours, being that their account is at 41,000 now, and actually that number has grown in the past 5 minutes. They've made $183 for every one of those minutes across 2 hours. We have another trader that is in a very tight race with Raphael that is up 37,000 in their live funded account. And it looks like they're trading in and out of the markets a little bit more than Raphael is. Raphael has just put on one trade and added to it today, and it has continued to grow. And actually, the risk team has been talking with Raphael today, being that the trading card that I had for him doesn't really display some of the best stuff that we have seen, but man, I love when I am proven wrong, when I say somebody needs to change something or do something differently, and then they just knock it out of the park. So, Raphael, great
So,
job. We're actually going to get into them shortly, but yeah,
real quick,
Jack,
if I can clarify on that, that's his account balance, or how much is he up on the day?
that I'm glad you asked. That is the day. They have about doubled their account, and really, why don't we just jump right into the trading card? That being the case, we
Yeah,
do have
let's
a
talk
few other
Raphael.
standouts. Yeah, let's do that. I may mention some of these other standouts shortly. But Raphael has been in their live funded account, and I featured them about 2 weeks ago, and their XFA had some great trading, and their live account, I don't know if something shifted for them, but it's been a rough start, and some of the notes might be a little dated now, as I made them about 45 minutes ago on some of them. But one thing that all every day but one, Raphael in this live account has hit daily loss limit, and I we hate to see it, being that they were up right around $20,000, which was what they had lost since the account had started. I was saying in the notes, hey, stop trading today, take it for a profit, and I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad I didn't tell them to do so. It didn't really pull back too much, and they've been able to keep the trade on and let it grow. Um, the one suggestion I would have for anybody in a monster trade, and I'm not sure if Raphael is watching, but it looks like they just got flat and locked in $44,000 in profit today, effectively more than doubling their live funded account.
Yikes. Okay. Wow, that's a hell of a trade because he was up. As some people mentioned, there, Nvidia is dumping right now too. Just to say that's down about $10 from the highs. Once again did not know that was legal. So back to Raphael real quick. 40. He was up 35 when we were in the green room. Now he's locked it out. Up $41,000. What would your advice be for Raphael for the rest of the day? Flat now.
Uh, you were close with what he's up now, but it's actually 3,000 more than what you said. He's locked in 44,300 for the day, and did that with just a 7 by 7 trade. That means seven contracts or lots that they've traded on the day. They got in their position and they just took them off. I know that Raphael did say that they had a trailing stop in and love to see it locked in. My advice is on a banger best day that you have is it's tough to improve on it. And if you want to trade or try stuff, do one lots. It's not going to get better than this. And in reality, even if you make 10% more than what you've already made, is that really going to change anything? Take the rest of the day off. Go treat yourself to something. And most importantly, take a payout.
So it looks like if he was short 7 NQ, I presume, it looks like he came in right first thing in the morning because he needs. Let me think about this for a second. 100 points on one is 2,000 times 7 is 14. Okay, so he needs like that whole. So he took like 300 points out of this. So came in at like 7:30 thereabouts this morning and has just been holding short all day. Does that sound about right?
A little bit earlier than that, added to the position at about 6 a.m. and started out the day with three contracts, and then a few about an hour later got two more into that position for, and then added to it at about 6 this morning, totaling seven buys and or seven sells and seven buys to close out the position.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I can't remember if I think I was on with you when we talked about it last week. Was he just a few days into the account? He
What
must
good
have been.
memory, good memory. Yeah, it was a
Well,
couple days into the account. The stats that I had were from the XFA at that time. Everything you see on this trading is from their current live funded account.
okay. Yeah, it definitely. I think his what he was looking for is more apparent now. When we saw it before, it was just like three straight daily loss limits. And now, look at this live accounts like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 or 7 days daily loss limit. When you see that in a vacuum, you're kind of like, what the hell is going on here? Total trades just like one or two a day, it looks like through that. Now it's coming into focus where you need a larger sample size. What I will say is like, hey, friggin' congratulations for everyone out there. It is very hard to hold a trade like that for 300 points, right? Or to be up, especially when you've been getting kicked around the last couple days, or like in this live account, to be up 20 grand and keep on going. I'd be interested to know what how far he was trailing that stop. Just because looking at the charts, it looks like it would have had to be, we had 117, I mean, we had a 100-point pullback in the NQ at one point. But as you see there, the 14% winning days, he had a small winning day, and then this is, I if you're able to do it, I mean, we were talking about how different people have different percentages, right? If your average loser is 3K or 4K or close to it, you can afford a lot of losing days if you can take 44,000 out. Now, when you operate with these strategies that rely on lower probabilities of success, it's more variable, right? That's like a statistics thing. If you're looking for a 1 in 10 thing, it really hurts if you don't get it or it keeps on going for a while, which it can. But hell of a trade. He was obviously looking for a huge break in the NQ, so got eaten up, eaten up, eaten up, and then paid it off. So I admire that he could hold it. Anything else here, Brett? That's a huge day.
Yeah, and it is so tough to and we watched it with Raphael's trade. it is so difficult to have 20K in profits and watch it go to 15 because hey, you could have been done and had 5,000 more locked in profits. In this case, nailed it and let it continue to grow. Um, One of the things that I had in the notes, and my perspective has shifted as a result of today's trading, is it almost looked like Raphael wasn't really managing some of the trades, allowing one trade to go against them and hit the daily loss limit. Um, my suggestion is don't let this day change anything about your trading except maybe that daily loss limit. Keep it where it's at or tighten it up a little bit because I'm not sure this trade really went against them at all today, and they added to it while it was in profit. I never saw it in the red for the trade, and really that daily loss limit got them to today because if they didn't have it, who knows where the account might be if at all today.
Yeah. I would just be like, if this is the way you want to do it, completely valid. There's a bunch of different ways to trade. I'd be very careful about, you're really going to have to be careful about how you're trailing that stop because you need that big, today was a really like, it worked out perfectly, but um if the percentage of winning days doesn't change slightly, it's like it'll make, when you're relying on just 10 to 20% of your trades working, the amount you make on those 10 to 20% of trades, because they're more rare, is very important that you get all that. So you have the data. I would love to know more about how Raphael was using the stop, but like, I'm not going to sit here and complain about someone making 40 some $1,000. I couldn't do that. So great job, Raphael. Now don't go back in there. Set a P&L limit, either be done for the day or set a loss limit for yourself right now that is very much lower than that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. And I mean, one thing I will say for at least my own trading, and Jack, I imagine you can add to this, is only having 15-20% winning days. That's a tough existence, in my opinion, and it can be rather stressful. And some of the best traders that I've spoken with are some of the calmest traders and really kind of don't show emotion during their trading and are consistent with profitability.
Yeah, you got cut off there at the end, Brett. Once again, this card does not include the 40 something, the $44,000 winner today. So yes, the math doesn't work on this card. The math works now if you put in the winner. So great trade.
Yeah. And made up about the $20,000 in losses over the first or the 6 days that did include the daily loss limits, and they're highly profitable now. With I'll do some rough math in my head, but they're over an average from down 3,000 average per day to up close to 3,000 per day now. So
Before
they
we
have
go to the next
completely
card,
reversed it.
I don't know if you're in touch with Raphael, but though I just have two questions for him. What was the trailing stop, and how did you decide to take it off? Like, I'm just very curious on a trade like that. So great stuff. Love it.
Yeah, and
What do we got
actually,
next?
looking at the order book, I also didn't talk with Raphael today, but it was a limit order. It was not the trailing stop, so decided to lock it in today and used a limit order to get out. And I don't see any other orders for Raphael.
Cool.
So
Well, we've
Hey,
talked a lot
just
about
to
Raphael. Let's see what's up.
not to butt in or anything, but Raphael is currently number 9 on the Topstep leaderboard with a total current take of 68,151. This $40,000 day could put him in second place tomorrow. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Take a payout. Very good, JD. Thanks for that. So let's blister through these other two cards. Anyone else make $44,000 today?
Not yet. We've got a few more hours of trading, so we will see.
All righty.
The next
Who you got
trader
next?
that I wanted to highlight was Chi, and Chi is in a 100K XFA that we actually decided to call up all three of Chi's XFAs yesterday, and another Nasdaq trader. Um, Kind of really consistent and really good at stopping at the daily highs in their account and not forcing trades. Um, she has taken 32,000 in payouts with an average daily P&L of 581, and they've completed 29 trade days in this account and really showing consistency, kind of unlike what we were talking about with Raphael.
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Consistency all around. I'm loving the payouts too. It's just like clockwork. Uh, Looks like about 10K in payouts, taking them every couple weeks. This is
that's
a
from each of
wildly
the three
consistent card.
XFAs, the
Oh,
10K roughly. Yeah, totaling about 32,000 in the life of the XFAs, and they're eligible for up to a 50% payout when they're as they're being called up to live. So I didn't get an update in the past hour, but they are eligible for up to 50% of their account value being called up to live. So it could grow from the 32 that it presently is. Um, the one thing with Chi that stood out is really on a hot streak, 8 consecutive profitable days, and the one thing that I love is they're happy taking profits and logging benchmark days of $200 or more, making them eligible for those payouts, and they stop at their account high for the day so frequently. That is a gift that a lot of traders could benefit from.
goodness. Looks like one of our traders in chat, Michael Patak, don't sweat it. Oh, you hit the DLL today? You got to be like Raphael and Chi here, Michael. We'll talk about it. Um, Chi is very different from Raphael. Whereas when I was looking at Raphael's card, right, Raphael was making one trade per day. And it's clear in retrospect, they were looking for a huge move, probably to the downside, judging how they finally got paid today after getting stop, stop, stop. Um, Cheese looks almost more algorithmic, for lack of a better word. There's a lot more trades on some of the days, a lot shorter hold times on a lot of these trades. But as you mentioned, very consistent, not basically, as you can see there with the 76% winning days, just a lot of winning days, not a ton of, well, a little club DLL on the loss, but who doesn't? They're putting up the money. Um, with the 29 days and all these trades working out, I mean, this is, I think, a really strong. This is a real strong track record here for these days. I like it.
Yeah, and it's kind of the other end of the spectrum to some degree in that with 83% winning days, we don't ever like to hit our DLL, but when you have a high winning day percentage, it is a little bit more acceptable in that you can absorb those hits, even if your average daily P&L is 581. Um, and with a 76% winning trade percentage and $96 profit, 200 in losses per trade, you can absorb those bigger losing numbers, I'll say, with daily loss limits and individual trade losses.
Yeah. I mean, 74% winners, that's on 461 trades. That's a pretty significant sample size. I could see that coming down a little bit, but they make so many trades in a day that the winning day being so high isn't necessarily out of the ordinary, just because they're not really making one trade a day. They're making several trades and they have such a high percentage. But yeah, totally different card, but similar results.
Yeah. And with just 3 contracts per day, they can limit those losses like they have and get out at their highs for the day. The one thing I would suggest for Chi when you get your live funded account, you've proven that you can trade a funded level account. And just don't let that change your attitude or mentality towards the trading. Keep it real and start off slow. Even though you've successfully taken money out of the markets, take it slow when you get to the live funded account and then work towards bigger numbers.
Yeah, and I noticed too, is the reward the risk ratio right there? Are they, people were asking, are they like 2 to 1 or 1 to 2?
1 to 2.
1 to 2. And that makes sense given the super, super high winning trade percentage. So I'm okay with that. It's a different way to trade, but um yeah, you got to be careful with that. But yeah, great card. Do you want to try and burn through the last one here real quick?
Yeah, we can get through Daniel's account trading card real quick.
Let's do
Daniel
it.
has 150K X account, trading the Nasdaq and the S&Ps, kind of similar to Chi in some ways in those percentages: 77% winning days, 66% winning trades. The one thing that stood out was their reward over risk is a little bit better than 1 to 1, and really taking very few trades per day, similar to Raphael. But really, it looks like to me, Jack, and I'd love your perspective on this, that Daniel is starting out really slow on each given day, with that intraday profit and loss being at just minus 26, meaning on a given day, the lowest account balance that they realized or were out of their trades for was down $26, which it's a great way to trade and execute, in that you start off slow on a daily basis and then you work towards more profitability, as well as the consistency with not hitting massive home runs with the best day of 1300. um, we're going to have a talk on the risk team later today about possibly calling up Daniel to the live markets. And sorry, I keep going, but really quick, Daniel, as an XFA trader, it looks like his focus, actually positively, their focus has been on just this account, which I encourage anybody trying to gain experience in the markets, focus on one account, whether that be a trading combine that you get called up to a funded level in an XFA that hopefully gets called up to the live funded markets. Focus on one account and grow and learn as much as you can from that.
Yeah. So real quick, because we're running out of a little bit of time here before group coaching, the biggest thing that stands out to me about this card is just spectacular discipline when it comes to losses. Okay, 43 trading days. You see that right there, the worst day is 1,700. This is very much not Club DLL. It's a 150K account. They could lose 3 grand, 3 grand, right? That's even an aberration. That's 1,700. One of the other days, I think Daniel lost maybe 1,100. Besides those 2 days, all the other losing days, right? Because there's 43, so there's at least 10 of them, we'll say, are in the $500 range. It almost looks like for a time that Daniel had a stop, like a daily loss limit he set himself of around $600 or something like that. And that's great, especially if you haven't put up, as you mentioned, his biggest winning days in super high yet. I really applaud the discipline here of not being like, well, I got 3K, let's friggin' send it, right? Um very disciplined card. Interested to hear how your conversation goes. This is good job, Daniel. Great 3 cards today. Totally different, but pretty great.
Yeah, and one last quick thing about Daniel, they haven't exceeded $1,000 in losses since May 1st, and they've been actively trading since May 1st, nearly every trade day.
Damn. All right. Well, there's some consistency for you. Stick around. Brett, thank you once again. And it's cool that we got to have that trade closed while we were on, so we have no suspense with Raphael. But now that that's off, stick around because right after this, we have group coaching with JD and Robert. Then we're doing Gabe's trading combine journey at 1 with Dolby and the crew. And then they're sticking around to do Power Hour with the happiest man in trading himself. Max Maserati will be there, so you won't want to miss that. Brett, thanks again. We'll be back right after the break. Talk to you later.